The Nationals leader at a federal level has refused to personally support a net zero 2050 target, but says he will abide by the party room's decision. It means the target now has bipartisan backing, but Barnaby Joyce argues Labor's policy is worse because it will be legislated. Live to Trudy McIntosh for more on this. Trudy, it's an interesting argument. It certainly does indicate that Barnaby Joyce not exactly keen on this, but if they both agree with it and Labor's legislating for it, hard to mount a campaign against it from the coalition side.
Well, Tom, the Nationals leader is hardly convincing out this morning as he tries to make the sales pitch after that 2-hour party room meeting we saw yesterday. A majority of National MPs in the room decided that they could live with the Prime Minister going to Glasgow and signing up the country to a net zero target to reduce emissions by 2050. Barnaby Joyce, though, it remains unclear whether he personally spoke in the room in favour or against this. There are leaks out of the party room which suggest he didn't support it. This morning on radio, he certainly didn't explicitly rule out that that was, in fact, his position. Instead, this morning, he's made the argument, now that we have a bipartisan position, the Coalition and Labor both say they support net zero by 2050. Barnaby Joyce says the big difference is Labor would legislate it.
The difference is the Labor Party are going to legislate it. The Labor Party are actually going to make a process and put in place a process, unless they can tell us otherwise, that's going to put at risk the mining jobs, which the Nationals went into bat to support.
You've got the same goals. So by you saying it's not legislated, you're saying, well, maybe you're hoping that you can get out of it in some way.
No, once we make a deal, we make a deal. And we stick to that deal. We say technology, the Labor says legislation. And legislation can include such things as carbon taxes.
So this is now coming down to a debate about the semantics of whether it does or doesn't go to Parliament, but the details of the deal still remain private. What did the Nationals want in exchange for supporting this? It will go to federal cabinet later today. The expectation we then will get an understanding of what's on the table. There is a suggestion, though, that the Nationals push to bolster their position in cabinet, so adding one Nationals minister. The likely beneficiary of that would be Keith Pitt. Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce saying today this is a matter for the Prime Minister. There is still some within his party room, despite the majority support, vocally opposed to net zero.
No, I just keep up the rage. I'm just going to keep up the fight for the blue-collar workers of this country, because I think it's a bad deal for them. Pursuing this green fantasy is only going to end in tears. I mean, the polls today aren't great, and there is no doubt there are many of our supporters extremely upset with the decisions we've taken.
The coalition government remain divided. They remain in a state of conflict. Their negotiations aren't about good policy. It's all about politics, as everything that this government does.
So now this will go to federal cabinet today. The Deputy Nationals leader, David Littleproud, letting the cat out of the bag this morning on Sky News, saying the Prime Minister will reveal the details of this tomorrow. We're also expecting, Tom, to see that upgraded projection for the 2030 target announced by the PM as well.
Yeah, that really is the crucial one, and the one that these members and senators are actually responsible for. We shouldn't forget that, Trudy. Thank you.